For years, I've been playing a game that I'm guessing many of us play. We put the address of our destination into our phones to get an estimate of how long it will take to get there, and then we try to beat it. Like me, I'm sure that some of you probably also use it for planning purposes, determining the latest time that you can depart so that you don't have to sit waiting for an appointment. When I first got my phone, I was victorious, always arriving on time with time to spare. But in recent years, there seemed to have been more pressure as I drove. As I watched the clock, I started worrying that I was cutting it too close. The only way to beat the system, to beat the phone, was to cheat, was to go a few miles over the limit. And that's when I realized my smartphone outsmarted me. I couldn't cheat its algorithm because core to its operating system was accommodating for my driving patterns. It recalculated driving estimates, knowing that going a few miles an hour over the limit was my MO. So, of course, not to be outsmarted, I came up with my own plan. I intentionally drove with the directions on while following all the posted speed limits. I was onto something. I was going to beat my phone. I was going to retrain it so that I could start winning again. I did it for short drives, long drives, for everything in between. But in trying to retrain my phone, I learned something. Driving slower and leaving more time taught me I was rushing through life, trying to pack as much as I could into it without ever processing it. Slowing down not only changed my outlook, but how I interacted with those around me. It put me in a better mood, decreased my stress. It allowed me to be aware of the things that I was overlooking. Sounds strange, but slowing down made me a better husband, father, and rabbi. It made me a better person. These 10 days of awe, these 10 days from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, are to be the same for us. It's our one period each year when we slow down, do a cheshbon hanefesh, an accounting of our souls, and we think about what we've mastered and where we've missed the mark. It's our chance to reflect on what's effective and what has escaped us. It's our annual reminder that every one of us is imperfect and has something to improve upon. And then we're supposed to commit to addressing those things in the upcoming year. We're to recognize our mistakes and retrain ourselves not to make them again. Some people are great at that. They make a New Year's resolution and they stick to it. But there's a reason that I have a hard time finding a parking spot at the gym in January, but seem to see a lot more open spots as I drive by the gym in February. Making a change, retraining ourselves, isn't just a one-day affair. It has to be like my plan for my phone, or my phone's plan for me. A long-term strategy where we think about the possibilities regularly. The great Rabbi Maimonides recognized that almost 1,000 years ago. In his writings on how to teach someone to become more philanthropic, he wrote that giving multiple smaller donations was better than giving an equivalent donation in one lump sum. Why? Because it's the repetition that helps create that habit. Just like Maimonides' teachings, Judaism has a path on how to make ourselves better too. One that I want to share tonight. Because for me, that's one of the goals of a High Holy Day sermon. To give us something that will help us make a change and make our world better in the upcoming year. It's called Musar. It's an ancient study that recently gained popularity. One of its founders described it as the science of the inner life. We rabbis like to give technical definitions with highfalutin language, so let me put it in pedestrian terms. Musar is about finding your core values, developing them, and strengthening them. It's our exercise of the soul, giving us stretches that aren't too difficult but allow us to expand. Usually it's practiced in three parts. First, a morning mantra, which identifies the value. Second, an assignment, something to do that will bring out and strengthen that virtue within you. And finally, reflection, an activity that forces you to think about the value in your actions or inactions. Tonight, on this first of our days of awe, I want to challenge each and every one of us here in person and each of us online tonight to adopt this practice. Make a commitment during these 10 days to give it a try. And my commitment to you, for those who want it, is to make it go beyond these 10 days, to make it a habit, to give you something at the beginning of every Hebrew month to focus on. So on the first day of each Hebrew month this year, I'm going to send you a short video, something that you can watch as you're waking up in the morning, when you find yourself scrolling through your social media, or maybe even the next time you beat your phone and arrive early at your destination. I'll share a virtue with a story or a mantra. It'll be something memorable, something that provides a model for each of us as we reflect on that value. And then I'll give you an action item. I'll give you your daily assignment and end with a way to reflect. Tonight, we don't just celebrate the new year. Today is the first day of the Hebrew month of Tishrei. And so for this month, we're all already here, so you're all going to get it. But if you want it in future months, then you'll need to sign up for it. Online, in the chats, we'll drop it in the link for you later on during Tish. Or if you're here at Temple, we've got the sign-up link in your High Holiday pamphlet under Monthly Musar Mantra. If you want to give it a chance next month, go to that link and enter your email address. As I shared, Musar is about developing your core values. Yours may be different, but for me, those core values are goodness, integrity, love, and joy. Tonight, we'll start with the first, goodness. How do we find the goodness in every situation, even a bad one? How can we improve at finding it? And how can we make it better? One of the gifts of Musar is that we learn the lessons from our lives. We see that the lessons are in other people. And tonight's illustration is from an 11-year-old who is living with his father's memory. A story. A true story. Yeah, I know. It's a Schwartz thing. A young man from Indiana named Jeremy, along with his National Guard unit, was deployed to Israel to help with searches and extractions. One of his first assignments came when a five-story building in Jerusalem collapsed. Jeremy and his team jackhammered and dug their way through the rubble to find and rescue any victims. After 6 hours, they came across an 11-year-old boy. His parents had died shielding him, and he was between them, barely alive. Jeremy and his unit, they saved the boy's life. A few days later, Jeremy spotted that same boy at an orphanage, and he noticed something interesting, something that surprised him. The boy seemed happy. He was smiling, laughing, and playing with the other kids. Curious how it could be that this boy who was just orphaned, who had lost everything, was now playing and joking with others, Jeremy asked him. And the boy's response? Because the sky is blue. It was something that the boy's father had taught him. Because the sky is blue can be a reason for anyone to do anything at any time. Jeremy realized the statement was irrelevant. The answer really was just because. He didn't need a reason. The boy understood that he had a choice. Happiness wasn't something that happens to you. It comes because you make a choice to be happy. Most of us would expect the boy to be sad. But instead, it's a wonderful illustration for us of the value to focus on this month. Gisha chiyuvit, having a positive outlook. How different our world would be if we were each able to have that boy's positive mental attitude. And so my parting gift tonight is our mantra. That boy's and his father's 5 words. Because the sky is blue. Because the sky is blue. Every morning during these next 10 days, when you wake up, say it to yourself. Because the sky is blue. And then your homework is to find the good in situations. Even when you're faced with adversity, do it with a positive attitude. Look for, find, and recognize the good. In your way to reflect, keep account of the days that you say that mantra to yourself. And keep track of how many times each day you think of that phrase when you respond to a situation. If you do it once, good. If you do it over these next 10 days, great. If you do it every day this month, that's fantastic. Because as long as you do it, I know that you'll notice a difference. That mantra will begin to change you, and you'll have started the training to make this a better year. Shana Tova.